School has enough stress as it is. Between extracurricular activities, friends, homework, students have enough on their plates. The last thing they need to worry about while getting their education is violence. Hello everyone, my name is Susan Williams, and I'm here to tell you about a growing concern within our educational system. It seems like we are hearing more and more about school shootings. In fact, since 2012, there have been over 30 shootings within the United States on school property. With this information alone, I ask, why is there not being done more to protect our children? In a newspaper article written by Kim Severson of New York Times, there are 33 states considering legislation to allow school officials to carry a gun on property. In fact, Georgia happens to be one of these states. Our representative, Paul Battles, wants to allow at least one administrator or more to have a gun on school property. Now, we're going to discuss how leaders feel about this, the risk this brings forth to our children, and violence in schools today. And after hearing this, I hope that you will agree with me that this is not the correct solution to this dilemma, that we need to make funding and provide schools with an armed security guard who is trained and instinctually knows how to handle crisis situations. Kenneth Trump, who is the president of the National School Safety and Security Services, in an article, Arming Teachers and School Staff with Guns, states, "It is short-sighted for those supporting the idea to believe that educators who enter a profession to teach and serve a supportive, nurturing role with children would abruptly kick into the mindset to kill someone in a second's notice. How could a teacher who is so used to caring and guiding children through life suddenly kick on a switch to go out and kill someone? It is not natural, and it's just not going to happen." He also states, suggesting that providing teachers, principals, custodians, or other school staff with 8, 16, 40, or even 60 hours of firearms training on firing, handling, and holstering a gun somehow makes a non-law enforcement officer suddenly qualified to make public safety services. It's an insult to our highly trained police professionals and a high risk to the safety of students, teachers, and other school staff. He's right. There's no way that someone who nurtures for a living can suddenly take on the role of as a protector and a killer. Police officers have been trained numerous amount of hours and put themselves in this dangerous situation every day. It's in their blood, it's in their instincts to help people and to disarm and to put their own selves in danger without thinking about the consequences. It takes time and experience to handle situations like this. No one can come off the street with just classroom training and think that they can handle this job. It's just not going to work out the way that people plan. And what risk are we bringing to our children by allowing teachers to have guns instead of trained police officers? Teachers may start to abuse their privilege with these guns. I know it sounds extreme, but maybe in the heat of a moment while the class is acting up or a certain student is misbehaving, the teacher would flash this gun on their holster just to have their students pay attention to them. This is a risk that we might experience while teachers have this gun. This would make students uncomfortable in their own classroom. It would blur the lines between teaching and using fear to enforce the classroom rules. Students don't need to worry about their teachers. What if they may snap? What if they're having a bad day? They shouldn't see teachers in this light that they could become a killer. It just blurs the lines in a way that should not be done between a teacher and a student. A student might also grab the gun in the heat of a moment while they're fighting with another student. And then they would be using this gun, which was meant to protect the student body, against another student. What risk would this pose to the teachers and other students? This would also cause the district insurance rates to shoot up. It may even make these districts uninsurable. With no security at our school, though, we've had many risks as well. A poll conducted in 2012 by the Center for Disease Control and the Department of Education says that 5.9% of students from the age of 9 to 12th grade had missed one or more days of school from fear of gun threats and violence on their school property. In a study conducted by Christopher Kirk of Slate magazine in 2012, since 1980, there have been over 137 fatal shootings on school property. This means violence is growing every decade. We can't sit by and wait for something to happen. We cannot sit by and wait for a solution to happen. Violence will never end in school, and guns are becoming more and more easily attained by students and teachers. Now, instead of arming our teachers, we need to make room in our budgets to allow the districts to put an armed guard at every school property. This has been proven effective by our own schools. At Prince Middle School, in a shooting in 2013 in January, an armed security officer was able to take the gun out of a shooter's hand before the shooter was able to do mass violence. This wasn't 100% effective. There were one injury and one fatality during that shooting, but the shooter was only able to cause limited harm. Now, before this gets out of hand, I ask you this. If a bridge falls in a highway, are we not going to talk about how we need to improve the infrastructure of our roads? If a terrorist bombs one of our airports, are we not going to raise issue with our security? I ask, what is it going to take to improve security at our schools? How many children need to die before we decide that we can make enough money for an armed guard at every school? I plead with you, don't let any more children die. Let's not put this off any longer just because of a little amount of money that we do not have. We can find this money. We can raise this money for the safety of our children.